Hello, I'm Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap, and we help mid-career professionals start business analyst careers. So today I want to talk to you about a question and answer that question that came in from one of our recent webinars. And this person said, I've been in a BA role for over 8 years, and I recently changed organizations. And I'm finding that I'm not currently up to date on technology and skills. How can I catch up without overwhelming myself? Okay, so this is a really important question. When you start a new organization, it's a huge opportunity for expansion and growth in your career. It's also a huge opportunity for overwhelm, right? Because what happens when we are in a position, especially in the same organization for 8 years or for even just a few years, is we get really familiar with how business analysis works in that organization. We're familiar with the stakeholders. We're familiar with the technology. We're familiar with the systems and the business rules and even like the nuances in terminology, like, oh, when Joe in accounting says this, he means this, but when Susie in marketing says this, she means this, right? We have already internalized the variances in terminology. We understand the business domain, we understand the technology systems and how they work. And so a lot of our confidence and our sense of success is actually based more on this expertise we have with the stakeholders and the systems in the domain. And we kind of lose track of that core foundational skills of what it takes to be a business analyst. And those don't feel so much like the core to our success. So then we start a new job and everything's different. The stakeholders are new, the systems might be new. The business domain, even if we're in the same industry, there's always slightly different variations to how those stakeholders speak, right? And how they show up in meetings and what their conflicts are and what their agendas are. And so we are literally learning everything about the business from scratch. And it can feel really overwhelming, and it can feel like we're drinking from a fire hose. That's a very common analogy that's used by new and experienced business analysts alike for what it's like when you're starting a new job. It just feels like you're drinking from this fire hose of information, and that's where the overwhelm is coming from. And so as we're in that position, doubt and fear can start to creep in, right? So can I really do this? I felt so confident in my past job. Why did I leave? Right? Why did I leave? Can I go back? Do I really know what I'm doing? Am I really as strong and competent as I thought I was in that past position? And that doubt and fear, it's really based on, now I am not the expert. Now I have to ask the questions. How do I do this? Right? So I want to reframe for this person. I want to reframe this concept of catching up, because that's really not, it's not probably what's the root issue here. So when you say I'm behind on my technology and my skills and I need to catch up without overwhelm, what you're really saying is I'm in a new situation now and I'm no longer the expert. Right? And this is a very natural place for business analysts to find themselves in. And as you grow and expand your career, you want it to start to feel like second nature, so that going into a meeting and being the least knowledgeable person about the business process, about the technology, about the domain, that's like a supernatural place to be, instead of the uncomfortable place. You're still drinking from a fire hose. You still don't know as much as everybody else knows about the business domain, but it's a natural place that you can show up in confidence. So what does it take to really show up in confidence in that situation? It takes your core business analysis skills. It's knowing how to analyze a business process, right? It's knowing how to ask questions to discover what the current state process is, what the problem is we're solving. It's knowing how to clarify terminology and pick up on nuances of Joe said this and Susie said this. Is that the same thing? Instead of already knowing that it is the same thing and doing that mental work to reconcile the terminology, which you can do when you're the expert. You can't do it when you're not yet the expert. It's about getting everyone on the same page about software requirements using techniques like use cases and wireframes that help you identify the what the software needs to do, not how the software needs to do it. And if you were the expert in the technology before, you probably knew all the things that the software could do, right? And you knew exactly how to build that, whatever it was that you were updating in your project. And so you could go with more of a technical spec instead of a more functional software requirement driven spec of what do we need this system to do, right? And so this means showing up and asking questions of your technology stakeholders as well to understand the capabilities of the systems that you have in place as it relates to your projects. And that's how you do it without having to learn everything at once, right? You're not going to be the expert in everything at once. So it's also, just to reiterate, it's about asking the questions and using the analysis skills that you have, business process modeling, data modeling, software requirements modeling, all of the modeling skills and the techniques that you've probably used naturally in your last job. Perhaps you need to freshen up and get some core foundation in those again, right? That's what we help you do at Bridging the Gap. But using all those skills to analyze the problem, understand the requirements, and ask the right questions. And they're going to help you do the intellectual work of figuring out what the questions are, even when you're not the expert. Okay, so the last thing I want to say about this is that the first shift that you make, the first shift from one organization to another, it's the hardest. The second shift, it's a little bit easier. And it gets easier and easier from there. And it's not easier because you're no longer drinking from a fire hose. It's not easier because you're the expert in every domain. Like, that's impossible. You're never going to be the expert in every domain. It gets easier because you're comfortable showing up in situations where you don't know what the business process is. You're comfortable asking the questions. You're comfortable clarifying terminology. You're comfortable standing on the foundation of your business analysis skills and knowing that you add value by asking those questions and doing that analysis, and not by being the expert. It's a really super powerful place to be in your career. It opens up a lot of opportunities for you to grow and expand and take your career to the next level. So that's my tip for how to get out of the overwhelm of a new job when you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose and maybe like you're a little bit behind. You're really not. You're just not the expert anymore. And so you've got to rely on those core business analysis skills. Now, if you'd like to see where you stack up in terms of having those skills, there should be a link below this video that will invite you to download the Business Analyst Skills Assessment. And this will allow you to walk through the level of each of the core skills that we talked about here, as well as some of the other skills that are really important to be successful as a business analyst, and rank yourself and assess yourself on how you stand against those skills. So go ahead, take a look at that, download that assessment, figure out where you're at, and that'll give you some ideas for where you might need to strengthen your core business analysis skills so you can succeed in multiple business domains as a business analyst. So again, so happy to have you here. My name is Laura Brandenburg from Bridging the Gap, and we help you start your business analyst career.